Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, takeover news, and general chit chat show. Lots to discuss, lots of summer transfer news to discuss. John Murtough and Matt Hargreaves in with the Barcelona sporting director today. Could they be working on a Barcelona story and all of this as well? I'd assume if there's something being negotiated, it probably would be Mason Greenwood, because that's probably been the most linked player between United and Barcelona. But there's rumours of United being in talks with Barcelona. We'll probably do a video on that tomorrow when we can get some more info and clarity on that meeting. There's rumours of a meeting with Sheikh Yassim. There's a lot of stories going about in terms of Branthwaite, Elise, Todibo, João Neves. Fabrizio Romano's come out and said some things. We've got some developments on Mason Mount's situation, how Ineos feel about Mason Mount, which is quite interesting. Varane to be sold is looking more and more likely, which is worrying. Among just so to dive into in today's show, starting with the Amad Diallo story, starting with the situation, a bit of background to why Amad's gone all cryptic on social media. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new, share the video, and let's get into it. So let's give you a bit of context before I get into my opinion. Let's sort of discuss the whole Amad situation. So Amad basically deleted all his pictures of him and Manchester United off social media, changed his bio, took Man United away from his bio, and says something in his bio which I don't know Arabic, or I don't know, is that French? You'd have to tell me what is in Amad's bio, but someone said it's something like the end or something cryptic like that as well. I can't 100% remember what was said as well. One sec. Barca want Greenwood, maybe. I don't think it's got anything to do with Frankie de Jong as well. Yeah. Whoa. Mickey van der Ven could be out until the end of the season. Whoa. Oh no, that's just old news. Sorry, I was just reading the news there. So obviously Amad Diallo has basically deleted all his posts on Instagram. And there was a bit of insight given to that as well. If Mercer's negotiating, we might end up paying Barca to take Mason Greenwood off us, says Alex. And to be fair, you're not wrong. I think, the fact that last time we went out to Barcelona to negotiate something, we didn't come back for Frankie de Jong. We came back with a bid and no player, says it all. So Amad Diallo deleted loads of things on social media, and it was said by Academy Scoop that Manchester United value Amad as an important part of their long-term project, but refused to give him assurances regarding playtime or role security. Amad dreams of a future at United, but will consider his options this summer if the situation does not change. So again, apparently Manchester United value Amad highly. Apparently Man United see Amad in a long-term role, and Amad wants to be at United in the future. But if Amad is not getting game time, if Amad is not going to be guaranteed a game time, of course he's going to leave, and I don't blame him. And again, this is what was said. Amad wants to be at United. Amad wants to play for United. He was told to stay. He was told he was going to be a part, and he's getting police stream minutes. In fact, Amad isn't even really getting police stream minutes. Amad isn't really getting minutes at all. I mean, he is getting the police treatment, but you could argue he's getting less than the police treatment. I mean, I have to say, I'm not a big fan of players going on social media, this and that. I'm not a big fan of players going on social media. I think it's childish to delete your posts. It's a bit attention seeking, but I do have sympathy for Amad. And this is another situation where Ten Hag's fallen out of a player. And part of me goes, well, to be fair, like these players, they are problematic. I think Ten Hag handled the Sanchez situation well. I think Ten Hag handled the Ronaldo situation well, but Ten Hag reportedly fell out of Varane. I don't know what's gone on there. Reportedly, he's fallen out with Amad. And while some of it lays on the players and just having childish players, and I think Ten Hag's dealt with most situations properly, that is a little bit of concern. And I think Ten Hag dealt with the Sancho Ronaldo situation properly. You had to get rid of Ronaldo after what he did. You had to be stern with Sancho after what he did. But I do have a bit of sympathy for Amad, and this was what I initially wrote. This was sort of my initial thoughts before I sort of dive more into the reports and the backbone to the story. But I said that Sancho had 2 good seasons. Sancho had 2 seasons of chances. Sancho had been at United 2 seasons. He had a season under Oli and Rangnick. He wasn't great, but that was his first season. Had a second season under Ten Hag where he asked to take 4 months off. And then this season, he would have got a chance because Anthony was, of course, going to be out with that whole sort of investigation going on. But he didn't even wait. After 3 games, Sancho was out and done. So I do think that Ten Hag handled the Sancho situation properly. I think Ronaldo went up Piers Morgan. I think he handled the Ronaldo situation properly. But I do sympathise with Amad. I don't think Amad's been given a sniff. I don't think he's been given a fair chance. You've got to think Amad had a brilliant loan at Sunderland, was very good off the bench in his first game back. versus Forest when he came off the bench. And I don't think that Forson is better than Amad Diallo, and I don't think that Anthony should be playing ahead of Amad Diallo because Anthony hasn't been good enough. And I think in games where we need elements of control, I think Amad can give us that because he keeps the ball out better. He's less direct than our wingers. And I know that Amad isn't a Ten Hag winger. The way Ten Hag wants his wingers to be is he wants his wingers to stretch the pitch, play out wide, be direct, ball progressors, dribblers. Amad isn't that. Amad isn't a Ten Hag player. But, you know, when we think of something different, when we think of balance, when we think of control, okay, when you tune up against Everton, you don't need to go direct anymore. So why don't we have a winger that brings more control rather than wingers that are direct? Amad, for me, should have come on versus Everton. That's how I look at it. And I get why Amad is annoyed. I 100% get why Amad's annoyed. I get why Amad's pissed off. I get why there's issues between Amad and Ten Hag because he's not been given a chance. I get it. I said, look, I get why Amad's annoyed, but I do think the airing on social media, deleting posts is childish. Changing your bio, deleting posts, cryptic posts. Amad's 22. That is 12-year-old behaviour, and that's not the behaviour you want from Man United players. Whether I agree with Amad being frustrated, 100%, I 100% agree with Amad being frustrated, and I think he's got every right to be frustrated. I think it's silly deleting posts and stuff online and doing all of that. I think that's childish behaviour. But 27 minutes of football since January is a joke, particularly when there's Anthony and Forster not offering much. You know, if Anthony and Forster were brilliant, fair enough, but they're not, and he's not getting a chance. And I think when you 2-0 up versus Everton with 10 minutes to go, why don't you chuck the young player on? Why doesn't Amad get to come on versus Everton? Why doesn't he get chucked on? Because we need control. They're a relegation team. We're 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go. You know, Garnacho's knackered, had a great game, but he's knackered. Rashford's playing with a slight injury. And you bring on Anthony. And what does Anthony do every time you bring him on? Absolutely nothing. I'm not saying that Amad's going to do lots when he comes on, but Anthony does nothing as well. So yeah, someone said Amad hasn't said anything. He just changed his bio. What's the issue? No, it's more. I don't have an issue with Amad. I'm just saying deleting all your posts of Man United and changing your bio, and we know what he's implying. He's not saying anything, but we know what he's implying. And I think it's a little bit dramatic on Amad's part and a bit childish. But I'm not having a go at Amad or anything like that. I feel Amad's frustration. I think Amad has every reason to be frustrated and annoyed. I just hate the games on social media, if you get me, because we know it's a message about Man United. It's not stupid. I don't like those games. I don't like those stories on social media. But it's very different to the Sancho-Ronaldo situation. Sancho put out a statement against the manager. Ronaldo publicly said things about the manager. Amad's just doing little things on social media. What's the word? Passive-aggressive. I don't have an issue with Amad. I don't have an issue with him changing his social media or deleting his Man United pictures because it's passive-aggressive. He's not saying anything bad about the manager. It's just a passive-aggressive approach. I think it's a bit childish, but that's what it is. But I'm with Amad on this. As much as I think that it's passive-aggressive, he's not calling out the manager like Ronaldo did or Sancho did, and it's a completely different situation. He's just frustrated. He's deleted his post. I get why Amad's done that. Personally, I think it's childish. But I wouldn't say I'm taking sides, but I do side with Amad, and I do have sympathy for Amad. That's the word. I do sympathise for Amad in the situation because I think that he deserves more minutes than he gets as well. The falling out is concerning with Ten Hag. It's older players, younger players, former players. There seems to be a lot of falling out with Ten Hag, which is worrying as well. It's not all on Ten Hag, the long list of fallouts. CR7 and Sancho was probably their fault. De Gea was probably Ten Hag's fault. Varane was probably Ten Hag's fault. Amad, that again. Yeah, he should have been treated better. Facundo, Amrabat. Yeah, it's a lot of mixes as well. And Ten Hag expects a lot. Amad's not impressed in the little minutes he's had, but how can Amad impress in 27 minutes of football when he was out for 6 months of an injury? He needs to get up to sharpness. Amad needs 2 or 3 games to get up to sharpness. I feel like it's really hard for players like Amad because they've been out for so long, so they need a few games to get up to sharpness, but they're not even being given a few games to show that, to get sharp. I feel like Donny van der Beek got that at times as well, actually, and that didn't help him. And then they get injured again because they haven't played a lot as well. Yeah, Eric Ten Hag backs Anthony's been awful and had major off the pitch decisions. Yeah, the big questionable thing with Eric Ten Hag is Anthony continues to play, continues to come on. I get he's your signing, I get he's your man, but Amad probably has more of a future than Anthony in terms of actually, I feel like we've seen enough from Anthony, and I try to be patient with Anthony and stuff, but yeah, Bacon says simple, sell Amad. And look, I think we're going to have to sell Amad because I don't think he's a 10 player. I think he's a great player, but I think the way we want to play doesn't suit that. So, and I think Elise will come in. We've got Garnacho, we've got Rashford. I think we will sell Amad. But right now with Forson and Anthony, I would rather Amad play than those two, in my opinion, as well. If we get rid of Sancho and Anthony, Amad and Elise sound about right. Yeah, I think for me, Amad and Elise would be good options, but I don't see it happening. Eric Ten Hag's selection too stubborn and man management a bit concerning. Look, I'm with you on that. I like Erik ten Hag. I've been Erik ten Hag again. I've been very positive about ten Hag. I want him to be given time. I want to invest in this ten Hag project. But my biggest criticism for ten Hag is his stubbornness. He has favouritism. He doesn't change things that aren't working. There's tactics that we played versus Wolves that he's not changed, and they're not working. And some of it is down to ten Hag not having the players, but some of it is down to ten Hag's stubbornnness. He's got Anthony, he's got Forson, he's got Ahmad. He's continuing with the ones that have been poor. Big up for super chat here. The super chat getting in early. Big up everybody in the chat. Guys, do hit that like button. Do subscribe down below if you're new. Just scrolling through the chat here as well. I think that like Mount, he got injured, played a few games and didn't really get minutes. But when he gets minutes, he got injured. Yeah, I think the thing with Mason Mount is, again, he's going to take a few games to get up to match fitness because he's barely played football a year and a half, and it's will ten Hag give Mount the minutes. Mount was a ten Hag signing, and he was playing the McTominay and Eriksen over him as well. Ahmad does an eye for goal, at least takes care of the ball. Exactly. Ahmad's more likely to get a goal than Anthony. That's what I'll say as well. Endo got Kevin De Bruyne subbed off crying. Oh, that's the Liverpool game. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was Endo, but I have to say, I want to say one thing about Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is arguing with Pep on the bench. Kevin De Bruyne is very visually annoyed that he subbed off. If that was Bruno Fernandes, imagine the media storm. If that was Bruno Fernandes asking Ten Hag why I'm subbed off and Bruno Fernandes dropping because he's been subbed off, or Rashford, imagine the media storm if one of our players had done that, dropped that they were being sent off, speaking to the manager, oh, why have we been sent off? Why have we been sent off? Imagine it. No talk about De Bruyne and Pep because Manchester City don't get clicks. Negative interactions, Manchester City don't get clicks. No one cares. Imagine the media. Imagine the outrage if that was Bruno or that was Rashford and not De Bruyne. It's ridiculous. I don't think it was that deep. I thought it was quite funny to watch as well. It was that the Premier League Big Six are back in talks for the European Super League following the court decision. There's a rumour going about, but it has come from Calcio Finanza, which isn't a reliable source, but there are talks of Man United trying to open up a Super League again. So I will keep an eye on I will keep an eye on it, but I don't think much is in it. But I do want to get back into the news. I do want to get back into a few stories that have been going about as well. Same as Walker exposing himself. Can you imagine that at Man United? Do you know what? The Rashford Belfast incident, while like Rashford lied to the manager and it wasn't good from Rashford, it wasn't as deep as it was made out to be, in the sense of, like, you looked at the Kyle Walker incident going on at the same time and the media just was slating Rashford for changing the windows on his car. The media gave Rashford more attention for Belfast than they did for Kyle Walker doing shady things. Kevin De Bruyne is having to go at Pep Guardiola, no attention. Why am I subbed off? If that was a Man United player, they'd be outraged. But there's so many times where Pep called out Guardiola on the media for not training hard enough, like Ten Hag did to Sancho. There's no drama there. There's no drama around Man City. There's no media stories around Man City. The same things happen at Man City that happen at Man United, but when it happens at Man United, there's 20 times the fuss. It's frustrating, and that's because United get clicks. Now, there are some leaks and stories around Ten Hag that I do want to get into. Any scandal with City gets brushed under the rug, partly maybe because City deal with it quite well, but also just because they're a small club, they don't generate clicks as well. Newcastle, Chelsea tonight, of course, I will be covering the game on the second channel if it's any good as well. If you got subbed, you've got to respect the manager's choice. Exactly. I don't know why they subbed him, but yeah, and playing Ahmad could save us 50 mil that maybe go and spend on Elise. Well, Elise is a special player. He's Premier League proven. He's done a lot more than Ahmad, but I get your mindset as well. Even Foden and Mason Greenwood got caught messing about on England duty and none of it. Yeah, do you know what? You're right. Foden and Greenwood were in Iceland. Didn't they message some girls? Foden had a kid with this woman. Foden was in a relationship. Greenwood was single at the time. The media went in on Greenwood. The whole time the media just kept going on Greenwood, blaming it all on Greenwood. I'm thinking it was both Foden and Greenwood. Foden's the one that's maybe cheating on his missus. Greenwood was the one that was single at the time. The media were only going on Greenwood, slagging off Greenwood. And this was before the whole Greenwood incident happened or anything like that. The media just attacked Greenwood. And then 3 months later, ahead of the Euros, they were praising Phil Foden for getting his hair cut. Do you know what's mad is Phil Foden dyes his hair bleach blonde for the Euros and everyone's bigging him up like how cool he's Gaza, how cool Phil Foden is, Phil Foden that. Phil Foden in Iceland, nothing about it. Mason Greenwood in Iceland, disgrace. Paul Pogba dyes his hair, disgrace. It's the different treatment between Manchester United and Manchester City players. And And that's been a thing for an absolute while, hasn't it? It's always been like that as well. Let's continue on to a few stories. So there's some reports and rumours surrounding Ten Hag as well. And an interesting report on Inzaghi, which I would take with a pinch of salt, but it was said that Eric Ten Hag is likely to be sacked by Manchester United in the summer, says Jack Talbot. There are also reports coming out from the Mirror, who is Ten Hag's mouthpiece, and they speak quite a lot with the SEG agency, who's obviously Ten Hag's representative, that Ten Hag would also be ready to walk away from Man United at the end of the season due to frustrations of not being given power and not being given certainty over his job future. There is a lot of leaks, reports and rumours that Ten Hag is going to be sacked, that Ten Hag's not happy, Ten Hag can walk away. I think, to be fair, there's not much clarity in it. I do think it's media guesswork at the moment. Romano said it, a lot of it is media guesswork, so I'm not going to jump on the gun. It does look 60% Ten Hag leaves, 40% Ten Hag stays, but I do think it's media guesswork, a bit like the takeover last year. No one knew if it was going to be Qatar or Sir Jim last year. Do you know what I mean? No one had a clue, and media was saying this and media was saying that. It feels like that with a Ten Hag, will he stay, will he go situation. But an interesting report that came up by Court Offside was saying that Inter Milan manager Inzaghi was approached by Man United in December, but he remains committed to his current club and won't be moving as talks over a new contract are underway. They're saying that United actually approached Inzaghi in December before Ineos came in, but we knew Ineos were coming in then. Again, I don't know if that's true. I would take that with a pinch of salt. But if United have actually been approaching managers as early as December, as Gary Neville said, Ineos would have already made up the decision probably from the beginning, and they already have an idea of what they want to do. If the reports are true that we've approached De Zerbi, we've approached Inzaghi, and we've approached these managers that we've allegedly approached, which have only been said by tier 2 sources, then I'd assume that the jury is out that Ten Hag is gone. But there's no tier 1 source like a Romano and Ornstein that said Man United have approached this manager. Ornstein and Romano both said, look, Man United could sack Ten Hag. They don't know. They're saying they could sack Ten Hag. They could, but remember, a lot of these stories are sort of being exaggerated as well. Jim wants Potter. From what I've heard, De Zerbi is first choice manager, not Potter. Potter's probably the easiest to get, as there'll be a lot more competition for De Zerbi as well. The one thing I will say is people are saying, oh, Nagelsmann plays great football, De Zerbi plays great football. We were saying how good football Ten Hag played at Ajax. We all loved the football Ten Hag played at Ajax. It was good football. It was positive football. He came to United. It was crap. Rangnick played brilliant football. He came to United. It was crap. Like, I want to mention this because everyone's like, oh, look at the football, blah, blah, blah plays. Look at the football, blah, blah, blah plays. We need that. Nagelsmann plays brilliant football. He'll come to United and play crap football. De Zerbi plays brilliant football. He'll come to United and play crap football. Potter played good football at Brighton. He went to Chelsea, crap football. He'll come to United, crap football. That's one thing you got to remember. I see a lot of people saying, look, we should get rid of Ten Hag because the football's so bad. The football is unbelievably bad under Ten Hag, and I think another manager would get us playing better football. But remember how much we were hyping up Ten Hag and how we played such good football at Ajax, and we wanted Ten Hag this and we wanted Ten Hag that because of the amazing football that Eric Ten Hag played at Ajax. Remember that. Remember that. So I feel like you've got to remember, if we're approaching a new manager, how do we know he's going to play good football at Man United? How do we know that? That's something that I feel like we've got to have in our mind ahead of all of those stories as well. We don't have the players to play that style of football, and we don't. I think Ten Hag could be doing better with the players available, and I do think the fact that we've conceded the second most shots after Sheffield United, you do have to put a bit of blame on Ten Hag for that and say, look, that isn't good enough. Some of these statistics are very worrying, but you also have to know the context of we don't have the players to play good football. Now, what do Man United plan to do investment-wise? Do Man United plan to bring in players that are capable of playing good football? It was said that Manchester United have made Everton centre-back Jared Branthwaite their top summer transfer target, and United are set to push ahead with the bid, and Everton want at least 75 million, but United will try and drive that price down near 50 million. I think Branthwaite will go between 55 to 60 million, depending on competition. I like Branthwaite. I'm a big fan of Branthwaite, but if we want to get Branthwaite, we want to get Elise, we want to get the DM we want to get the striker we want, and we want to get a backup left back, we're going to have to sell. What Manchester United do in this transfer window depends on sales. We like João Neves. We like Branthwaite. We like Elise. We like a few young left backs. We like a few strikers. But we like Amadou Onana. We like Matt Sweefer. We like Hjulman. We like Fofana. We want about 4 or 5 signings. Particularly Ineos probably want 5 signings, including that sort of backup left back. But our chances of landing the 5 signings we want will massively depend on sales. Now, Jared Branthwaite is a brilliant box defender. He's 2-footed. He's exactly what we need at back. For me, I've watched Everton. I watch Onana. Onana's decent. But every time I watch Everton, it's Branthwaite. There's more players that can do what Onana does than that can do what Branthwaite does. And Branthwaite's only 21. I get why he's going to be a lot. I wouldn't pay more than 60 million for him because he's young. This is his first proper season in the Premier League. But when Real Madrid are linked with him, Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, all the top teams are looking at him. Everton know they can get a lot of money for this guy because he's English as well. I think it could be a bit of a bidding war for Branthwaite. In terms of other transfer news and news going about, it was also said a striker, central defender, and left back are on Manchester United's list for the summer, said Fabrizio Romano, and that Harry Maguire, if United do receive an offer for him in the summer, they'd be prepared to negotiate. Otherwise, they're keen to keep him. I think with Maguire, Man United will accept a bid for Maguire like they did last summer, but Maguire probably won't go because they have to take a wage cut. And Romano did say, look, Elise is what we're interested in, but we also want a striker, we also want a central defender, we also want a left back. Antonio Silva, Branthwaite, Todibo have been the centre backs most linked to us. Left backs, and I'll get into the left back names, and strikers, it's been Xerxes, Tell, Sexco, and some of them aren't ultimately just playing as a striker. Fabrizio Romano did say on Rafael Varane that the situation still stays the same and no deal agrees. There's a concrete chance he leaves, which is, for me, worrying. I don't want Varane to leave. I want Varane to stay. I think Varane could be part of our future, but it's looking more and more likely that Varane will leave Manchester United as well. No one's playing good football with this current squad exactly. The squad is quite is like a quilt assembled together by a blind person. None of the pieces fit together, and it feels like that. We've got players from 4 different managers of 4 different styles of football, and players that weren't good enough in the first place still here for 4 years as well. What's the Kim and Jay situation at Bayern? Is he up for grabs? So yeah, reports are coming out that Manchester United might sort of try and exploit the Kim and Jay situation at Bayern. They seem to prefer Dyer to Kim and Jay, which is ridiculous. Dyer and De Ligt seem to now be preferred to Kim and Jay, and there's sort of reports coming in that Manchester United might look to sort of exploit that situation and make a move for Kim and Jay. And I think if there's if Kim and Jay wants to leave, which is being reported, and there's a sort of chance for us to seriously go out there and get the Kim and Jay, I wouldn't write United out of that as well. I do think they will be looking at the Kim and Jay Bayern situation. What a player. I can't believe Bayern aren't playing anymore. I can't believe they've benched it for some important games. And hopefully we do get Kim and Jay and a Kim and Jay deal over the line, because as you know, I'm one of Kim and Jay's biggest fans as well. I see Erik ten Hag staying a bit before Man United can start forgiving new managers. There's business to do in the window. I think it's a difficult one. I think either Erik ten Hag stays or he goes in a summer, which is pretty obvious. But like, part of me wouldn't be surprised if he went. Part of me wouldn't be surprised if Ten Hag stayed, but then was maybe sacked in December. And part of me wouldn't be surprised if Ten Hag stayed for one more year, and then this time next year we're looking at managers. It's very difficult to sort of know what United is sort of doing with Ten Hag, because there's a lot of news coming out saying, you know, oh, this player is going to stay and this player is going to go, and this is going to be the next manager, and Ten Hag's going to stay and Ten Hag's going to go. But we don't know which of those stories are true. We don't know which of those stories is false. Getting into other stories, it was said by Fabrizio Romano that a big investment will be made at centre-back for United. And he said that while United like João Neves, I don't think it'll be easy to get him because of the price, and Benfica will try and keep him on. I think João Neves is one to keep an eye out on 2025. I think 2024 is Todibo, Branthwaite, Elise, those kind of players. 2025, I think you go for a João Neves, someone like that. Romano did say on Jarrad Branthwaite to United that he's one of the names to follow for sure, but before saying top target, I think we need to wait at least a month to see what United's plan is for the summer. Romano said that he doesn't think that he's our top target, but he knows that we're interested in this guy. And Romano again confirmed that we are interested in Amadou Onana, but so are Arsenal, so are Barcelona, so are a lot of players. There's going to be competition for Amadou Onana. I like Amadou Onana. I think we need a player like that. I like his legs. I like his mobility, but it's not the end of the world, in my opinion, if we don't end up signing Amadou Onana. Interestingly, Fabrizio Romano spoke about Mason Greenwood, and he said that he's one of the names for Manchester United to cash in on this summer. And he said due to FFP restrictions, United will have to raise funds by selling. And the feeling is Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood are 2 of the names that could leave on a permanent transfer. We can get a little bit of money in regards to FFP. But interestingly, it was said that Dortmund don't want to buy Sancho and want to see if they can get Sancho again on loan next season, which is Dortmund, let's be honest, taking the mick and being cheeky. But Dortmund are basically trying to see, oh, can we get Sancho on loan for another year, lower his contract so we can get him on the absolute cheap. Dortmund are playing us around. Dortmund are, to be fair, being really, really cheeky with the whole situation. But hopefully we sell Sancho and get some straight up money for Sancho. Big up everyone in the chat. Please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Todibo is a modern pacey centre-back that fits what we need. We'll have to do a madness in sales to for Branthwaite. I think value for money, Todibo is looking like our best options as well. Do you trust Ten Hag with more money? Well, no, but I think Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth will be here, so it's not going to be Ten Hag spending the money as well. What I find funny is the fact we spend over 300 million on players in 2 years, and the best players are 18, 19 from the academy. It's absolutely mad. Our best players are from the academy. Maybe we should promote more. I agree with that, and I think they've got the hunger, they've got the desire, and that just shows how bad our recruitment's been. Really has been as well. We might have to loan Jaden again. Not going to be cute to sign him. Yeah, he's not been good. I hope that Jaden turns his loan around and he's got a goal now. Maybe starts playing well for Dortmund. So Dortmund will say, look, we'll give you 30 million for him. I'd love to get 30, 40 million for Jaden Sancho, considering Arsenal got 65 million for Kai Havertz and Sancho and Kai Havertz were in similar situations. I'd love to get money for Sancho, but because he's had attitude issues, I think it's going to be a lot harder. But if we can get 30 million for Sancho, bish, bash, bosh, take it. Because even if Ten Hag does go, I don't want Sancho back playing in a Man United shirt because he refused to play. I don't want players that refuse to play for this club, even if Ten Hag goes, back playing in the United shirt. Eric Ten Hag invited his own pressure by treating other players unfairly like Ahmad. I think Eric Ten Hag does have favouritism, which doesn't help him, but I also think that some of the players probably overreact from their side as well. It's mixed feelings. I feel for Ahmad on the Ten Hag situation, but I think for me, I'm not interested in social media posts as well. Jaden's wage is ridiculous. Yeah, he'll be difficult to sell. Ten Hag should ask De Gea to come back. Well, I think Onana's been quite good, Gas, to be fair. So probably not in my opinion as well. All clubs should try and get some pre-contracts done before the Euros. Any player with half decent tournament will triple in price. Yeah, 100% I get that. I remember Locatelli at the last Euros. All of a sudden, everybody wanted him. Everyone was interested in Locatelli as well. So let's get into a few more stories and reports and rumours as well. I will tomorrow talk about Man United being in Barcelona and all of that news tomorrow. I've got a few stories that I want to talk about tomorrow in terms of FFP, Man United being with Barcelona. Apparently, Manchester City's owners work for free. Another graph that came out today. Lots of interesting things that exploit Man City. We'll talk about in tomorrow's videos as well. But in terms of the left-back situation, it was said that United looking at not Bremer. It was the left-back we're looking at. It was said that Man United are looking at Bremer. Romano thinks he's perfect for football, but Juventus see him as crucial, and it's going to be a difficult one. But Romano did say that United want to sign a left-back who's for the future, but also with the quality to make it into the starting 11 next season, and also one that will be available. We need an Udogie-esque player, someone that's young, raw, but could be a great player like Udogie's been for Spurs this season. We need sort of a Udogie-based player 100% as well. And Nana's been good lately, yeah, which is good. And strange, Eric Ten Hag's not trying to keep young players like Ahmad and Pellistri. He's not. I think he just likes direct wingers, which is why he likes Garnacho, and he's not interested in the other players, which is a shame because I still think they would offer more than Anthony as well. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any money for Jadon Sancho, to be honest. I think he's sort of done there. I think we can maybe get a little bit of money for Jadon Sancho, but it's going to be really hard because his loan hasn't been massive. So we're going to have to take a big loss on Sancho. We're probably going to have to take a big loss on Anthony. Fabrizio Romano then spoke about Elise to United, and he said that Elise is one of the players on Man United's list. It's similar to Braithwaite. If he's a top target and will 100% happen, we have to wait. The positive for Man United says release clause. So Romano confirmed that Elise has a release clause. If he's a top target, I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure United will pay a release clause if he's a top target. We know the player's open to coming to United, but it's just to see a top target. We want Elise, but do we want to get sent back and DM and striker before we get a right wing? I'm convinced Elise will be a Man United player next summer, but you just don't know as well. But Romano did say Elise would be very keen on joining United. And I want to get some news up to show you a little bit of context on the whole Elise to Manchester United situation as well. Do you think Anthony will be sold in the summer? I think Ineos will want to sell Anthony, and I think Ineos will be open to the idea of selling Anthony. But it depends on how can we. Are we going to be able to sell Anthony? A lot of people forget that Anthony hasn't been good for 2 seasons now. We spent a lot of money on him. He's got high wages. It's our ability to sell Anthony. So. And that's what I said earlier in regards to Amad Diallo, but this is what I said in regards to Elise. And I think if you want to listen to anything in the live stream, I think that this information will be quite useful. I said it's still early days, but all signs suggest that Elise to Man United this summer is pretty much nailed on. The player is a Man United fan and would join them over any rival. A reported 50 million fees / structured clauses on the table. Apparently, the release clause is 50 to 55 million pounds structured as well. Elise is a Man United fan and would pick them over any rival. We know that he chooses over Man City right now, which is quite crazy. But it was said that Ineos have always had a strong interest in Elise, with Barada previously wanting him at City and Ashworth monitoring as a potential replacement for Almiron. So those coming into Ineos, like Ineos almost wanted to recruit Dougie Friedman, who scouted him at Reading for 18 months and brought Elise to Palace as well. But we know that Eric Ten Hag and his scouting team gave approval for the Elise signing way before Ineos came to United. So we know that Man United held him in high regards. We know that Ineos have come in and held him in high regards. So when Ineos and Man United have held the player in high regards, he wants to come to Manchester United. There is that positivity. It was said that Ineos' transfer strategy will focus on young domestic talents who have the potential to become superstars, making Elise the perfect fit. He ticks the boxes, and it was said that on top of all this, Palace have indicated their willingness to sell him as well. So not only do we want Elise, not only does Elise want to come, not only has he got a release clause for an affordable price, but Palace want to sell him. Palace have said, yep, you can buy him if you want. You can buy him if you want as well. 50 million or 55 million release clause doesn't seem too bad. I know he's injury prone, but last season he played 3,000 minutes. He wasn't too injury prone last season. It was also said that, however, it's Manchester United we're talking about, and we're not usually known for making the best transfer negotiations. Who will sign will ultimately depend on sales. But United are looking at Elise. It's early days. There's a lot of positives around the Elise deal, but you know what Man United are like. As Gaz said, guys, please do like and subscribe. Kareem says, I feel sorry for Ahmad. Ten Hag's not good enough to see Ahmad's qualities. I get why Ten Hag isn't the biggest fan of Ahmad, because he's a very different winger to what Ten Hag wants. But I think when you look at how poor our wingers have been, and you're continuously bringing on Anthony and forcing over Ahmad, I do think that's a joke. I do think it's a joke. And Ahmad's bias said this will all end, which is very cryptic there as well. If Sancho, GW, and maybe Ahmad and Anthony, I don't know what you're on about, David. I honestly can't understand what you're saying. I feel sorry for Ahmad. Ten Hag, I've read that one out as well. Alice, it's my mum's birthday. Can you wish happy birthday to your mum? Ratcliffe wants the government to pay for a new stadium, a bit of cheeky stuff. Well, yeah, but that's the reason Ratcliffe wants the government to pay for a new stadium is because the Glazers have run the club dry, that our chances of getting a new stadium are now a lot lower. Our chance of being able to afford to build a new stadium from scratch is just like... It's like, interesting report on Gavi coming here as well. Interesting news. People are saying it's John Murtough and Owen Hargreaves in Barcelona to get a deal for Gavi done. Gavi Dunn did say that basically he was a fan of United once as well. And he sort of spoke about Man United players as well. But again, I don't think Gavi's going to come to Manchester United. There's also reports that Manchester United are looking at Pau something. So I'll definitely keep an eye on that name going about. There's a Barcelona guy that we are looking at as well. But there are some rumours that United are apparently interested in Gavi as well. Glazers and Parasites sell at least 2 wingers before we buy Elise. Opportunity for Shea Lacey. Yeah, Shea Lacey's an absolute baller. I hope he does get opportunities soon as well. Elise is a rare homegrown talent, good enough for the Premier League. That's probably a big factor in pursuing him. 100% with release clause as well. It's quite affordable. Just the injuries worry me. I feel sorry for Ahmad. I think we all feel sorry for Ahmad, to be fair as well. See, it was an Eric Ten Hag play. He was very technical and not at the most pace or direct. Yeah, it's weird. He made it work with Siak. Why can't he give Anthony a go as well? For all, it's a bit of a joke. FFP has kicked us up some intriguing issues after having issues and having to sell for some. I don't know what's going on with FFP at the moment. I can't be able to deal with it. I just hope that Manchester City actually get punished, because everyone else seems to be getting punished by Man City, who are the biggest FFP cheats as well. Ahmad has been treated abysmally game after game. Anthony gets on the pitch. Cool. I think when you're 2-0 up against Everton and you've got 10 minutes to go and you need to control the game, you might as well bring on someone like Ahmad. What have you got to lose? They're a relegation side and he's not. So, yeah, it's just frustrating, because I'd love to see Ahmad get more minutes than he's getting. But it just doesn't seem to be like they want to give Ahmad any minutes as well. Guys, do hit the like button. Do subscribe down below if you're new. We've just been going through all the news so far today in today's live stream. I said there's a lot of news to get into. I said I wanted it to be action-packed. I do normally chat with you guys longer in the live streams, but I just wanted the news to be action-packed. There was reports that we're looking at Mikel Merino because of his contract situation, but we're also looking at players like Subamendi as well. I think Subamendi could be a really good choice at DM. And they were saying that Merino, who we're looking at, does have a release clause of 52 million, but his contract expires in 2025, so United would have to sort of go and trigger his release clause now. And Sociedad don't want to lose him for free, so they could sell him for summer. So there's another name to be linked to. We're looking at midfielders, we're looking at wingers, we're looking at centre-backs. Murtough and Arnold are in Barcelona. There's definitely stuff going on behind the scenes. Again, the Mirror did confirm the interest in Branthwaite, but they said 70 million. United want to get closer to 50 million. Maybe something will be done for about 60 million. And they just say that Varane is expected to leave. In terms of other news coming out, more in regards to the takeover, it was said that both Dougie Freedman and Jason Wilcox are candidates for Man United. Discussions still ongoing over who's the best option to work alongside Dan Ashworth. Says Romana. Romana said we're not bringing in Wilcox and Freedman, we're bringing in one or the other, which is interesting. And it was said by Fabrizio Romano that I think all top managers around the world will have some sort of say on the transfers. That's completely normal, but I'm sure he'll have a point as crucial. As a crucial factor. Talks with Ten Hag and Ineos are positive, but it's about the result. So again, Fabrizio Romano I've zoned out completely, but Fabrizio Romano here was talking about Ten Hag's future. This hasn't got much to do with transfers, and obviously there's a feeling that Ten Hag could go because he's going to lose powers with transfers and all of that as well. but he's still going to have a say in transfers. And Romano saying, I think he'll stay. It's quite normal for those above you to have the most to say, and you have a little say in transfers as well. But Ineos want to see good football. Ineos say, look, the results are important, but they want to see good football, and they're not seeing that at the moment as well. It was also said that Ineos want to work with a manager regarding transfers and recruitment strategy. If they decide to sack Tenag, it won't be about transfers, though. Again, they're saying that, Ineos want to work with a manager about transfers, recruitment, making that better. But if they sack Tenag, it's not because of that. It will be because of they're not convinced of what he's done this season as well. Majority American ownership, along with one of the wealthiest people in the UK. Government funding is a long shot. I agree, but it's just because we've been run so badly for 18 years. That's what they try and do. Tom says this club is broke, an absolute mess. These reports are absolutely rubbish. They won't maintain the gap to the top, let alone close it. I mean, look, the top teams don't have silly reports like we do, which is a shame. It's a shame. Not sure Ahmed's good enough, but he did well in the Championship. He might not be good enough for United. He might become a Fulham player, but he definitely deserves a chance when you think about how bad Anthony's been and Sancho's not been there, and he was quite good in his cameo. I think he definitely deserves a chance. But listen, people, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream. I didn't want it to be super, super long. I just wanted to talk about mostly sort of the transfer news going about Fabrizio Romano's big update. I want to talk about Mason Mount. Basically, those at Manchester United feel sorry for Mason Mount, and they will give him another season to prove himself. But if he's injured next season, they will sell him. I wanted to talk about a couple of stuff going on at United, sort of the takeover, the transfers, the plans, and of course the Amad Diallo situation. So anyway, people, if you've not already, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below and share the video. Really helps us out here on the channel when you do click subscribe and you do click share. I'll be back tomorrow. See you next time. Bye.